Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am now doing the sixth video on freedom, and I hope that you'll be able to actually watch it completely, and I hope it will be a benefit to all of us, inshallah. In the previous videos, I pointed out that we need a change of the curriculum, which is more integrative, more holistic, etc. But if one can, and I also pointed out that examinations in actual fact is very disturbing, and it actually creates a kind of a market-related sorting out of, as in Afrikaans, a kaf van die koring. In other words, creating the necessary few leaders and necessary producers, a maximum amount of producers, and then a few cleaners. And that's what examinations is all about. So if one changes the curriculum and you still have examinations, then you're not helping anybody. So what does one do then? One actually has to do what the Quran says, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that Allah has created death and life to test who of us are the best in work. That is in Surah Mulk, which is in Surah the King. I think it's 67, Surah 67. So therefore, testing is necessary. We need to test ourselves. We know basically what our basic levels are, etc., and where our strengths and our weaknesses lie. So testing is important. So how do you do it with holistic leisure learning and with the holistic curriculum? Basically, what we do is we encourage people to test during the actual lesson. In other words, we develop the lesson step by step, and for each particular step, the learner gets a mark, and then that is the cumulative mark. We do about 3 tests during a particular lesson. In other words, as we present a lesson, we present the actual challenge at the same time, step by step. Because I found in my experience of teaching, when you complete a whole particular problem, and you think that people are going to follow every step of the way, it doesn't work. You have to do a problem in mathematics or physics or any particular feature. Doing a step, your board in half. On the one side, you do your example, first step of the example, then the second one. Then on the other half of it, you do the test, and you change just the basic terms or the basic points, etc., etc., so that they can follow it step by step. After the third attempt of doing 3 basic examples, you leave the examples on the board, and then after that you remove all the examples, and then you do 1 test without the examples on the board. That's the 4th test. And by the 5th test, in actual fact, during that particular period in time, which is about in an hour, you actually can have an accumulative mark for every child, and the children know exactly what they achieve. Now, all the children that I actually tested this method on, they love that method because they can follow it, and you have full attention of the learner. And then, so what happens is, in holistic leisure learning, you actually test every day. And then what happens is you complete a curriculum. You can practically complete a curriculum in a day because you're not period related. Period structures basically, as I said, breaks up the holistic value of the subject. You can do a whole concept and then relate that concept to all the other subjects and then complete it, test it, etc., and then put your marks in. And then at the end of the term or the end of the year, the learner gets an accumulative mark of all the tests that is done for those particular subjects that integrate through the 20 topics that you deal with. So yes, take away the examination, but increase the amount of testing and test every stage of the way, and then you really develop a freedom of learner. And learners will know exactly who are the strong ones in a particular feature or the subject or this particular skill, and who needs help. And in this particular way, you create a kind of an atmosphere of those that must help each other. Those who get A's are not those who are individualists. No, they are individuals who can be depended on, who can be assisted, and who can assist other people. So the holistic approach basically develops a kind of a freedom of learning. It reduces the tension in examinations, because examination creates an enormous amount of tension. So what happens is, scientists will tell us that when a person is under stress, sees a question that doesn't work, the blood is removed from the visceral part of the body, and it goes to the limbs, And it's also removed, or not removed, but it's reduced to the frontal lobe and moved to the back part of the brain. And this gets the body in particular readiness to run away. So if you get the next question, in actual fact, and you know the answer, it's very difficult for you to actually answer the question. The scientists basically say is because the frontal lobe, for the reasoning, etc., has basically been shut off with excessive amount of blood because the blood has been moving to the back of the brain. So then why people come to the point where they have blackouts, or they, in other words, they just go blank and then they don't know what's happening anymore. So that kind of unhealthy situation where examinations are actually used to manipulate the society in order to fit them into existing markets, and create an enormous amount of unemployment, that shouldn't be, because you are cutting the freedom of people to express themselves, freedom of people to move, freedom of people to in actual fact earn. So holistic leisure learning and the youth employment project that's connected to that makes everybody participant of the actual development of a society on a small scale, but ensures that every learner and every particular student, in actual fact, passes the exams or move on to achieve their particular interests and their goals. And this allows them, for the society to develop the knowledge of everybody who's skilled, so that everybody can assist each other, and you understand that there are some people are good at something and some people are not so good at something, but they will be good at something else again. So we have to share, we have to trade with each other. So in the real terms, the Quran encourages us that we must not we must trade with each other. We must look after each other. We must support each other before time will come when there will be no more support, no more trading, and there will no more friends. Now, I always thought about what's happening now. They say there's some people who can see the future. There can some people who know about portals, etc. They can actually connect with the other future world, with the present world and the past world. We know that Mi'raj is a perfect example of an individual, his consciousness has been raised, the soul is on a higher level and can actually see the future, etc. And these people say in about, say, 700 years from now, people will be, most of the society will be computerized. You will have no more people that will buy and sell something because the computers can create the products, put it into the shelves, do a complete data feature in terms of what is needed, and every person will have. And so there's no more working involved. So you can imagine everybody will become an individual, and maybe can become an individualist because the person is completely supplied. And so you need a kind of a philosophy or a kind of thinking that will still keep those people together. I know that maybe in 700 years' time, everybody will not be on that level, because I mean, today you can still see people who are driving a horse and cart next to a person who's got a runway for an airplane and a car. So it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody will be on that level, but some people will be on that level. So at the moment in time, we're actually developing ourselves to that point. Everything is becoming technologically important. You see, education is more on the computers now. It's free, it's available. And so we need to be able to work towards that. So the holistic approach with its integrated holistic curriculum related reflections book, which is a textbook, this in actual fact allows you to use the internet and basically get all the information ready from from reflective writings and from the terms that you don't understand, and that basically gets you onto a broader understanding and also gets you into a very holistic, value-based person, and that's what we need for the future. So yes, there will always be people who will take the wrong road, and there will always be people who take the right road. Not everybody is going to follow the same thing, but we have to encourage. We have to give ourselves the time and opportunity to actually help each other and to share information. We can't take the things for ourselves and think we're just going to control that and make money out of it, because there's another ayah in the Quran which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us, if Allah has given us a gift, we have to share it. We mustn't keep it to ourselves and control it. Otherwise, it will become a collar around our necks on the day of judgment. It will be a suffering for us. So we need to share. We need to share. And you can see on the internet, many people are open to share. There are some people who've got websites that, you must first pay before you can see something. But there are many who actually do things free. There are young people who are working on systems in order to make internet access free to everybody, and there are others whom you must pay in order to have your connection, etc. That all will come to an end at a certain time and place when the computers will take over, and people will be provided what they need. You know already there's three-dimensional printers. People can print anything they wish, etc., and then they go out and then they can, don't have to worry about production, etc., because everything is produced. So machines will be able to put everything in place. So we need to have a kind of a knowledge and a kind of a sharing of information that will broaden people's minds, increase the value of people, and even if we get to a computer age when everything controls everything, there will be some of the society that will be looking after each other, will visit each other, and there will others who will be individualistic and individualists and will just see to themselves and their family. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us, don't eat all your rizq or your sustenance amongst yourselves and your family. Share with other people, trade with other people, pay people for what they can do, etc. So we know that each one will have a specific skill. And will be able, and that makes us humble because we know we need a plumber, or we need a person to do research, or we need a person who's a doctor, we need a person. But that doesn't mean that the doctor doesn't have knowledge of other things. He can also do some other things, but he's not a professional in it. It's not absolutely gifted in it. He can do some of the stuff, but he's not as good as somebody else. And this is where we need each other so that we can become a great society, inshallah. So, in terms of then freedom, it is necessary for us to have a curriculum that is not examination based, but to make sure that we are not teaching people to write exams, but we teach and share information with people, and they can share information with us in order to learn and to become an holistic person, a really value-based person, and a faith-based person who will know so many things that they become more what is the word, more appreciative to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they understand the physics of things, they understand the business of things, they understand the sociological aspects of things, and they see it as integrated. They're not in the state where we are today. Okay, we are being forced by the crash of the economies to start integrating our skills. But before, in the Industrial Revolution, where there was specialization in order to get the products out. You don't have to know how to make the pants as long as you can just do put the fly in or put the pocket in. That's all you need to know, so that many genes can go through. Uh, that was okay in the industrialized world where there was no computers. You could control the borders, and so you can control the people, and so the education was based on that. But now with the new borders that are actually fluffy because of the fact that we can communicate with others over internet, we do have a situation where education will crash because now you cannot control the factories and have mass production through factories because people can buy and sell on the internet. And you have these delivery features and so on, and take a lot. It's not an advert for them, but I mean, you have these companies that actually do, courier services from things that you can buy in other countries and you can come through. So you can't control the market anymore, and so you can't control the education. And so if you have that kind of concept of wanting to control education and cut the freedom of people, of children, if they don't feel the freedom, what happens is they don't work anymore. They lose their enthusiasm to work, and then they just want to pass. And that's what's happening today. People are not interested in learning anymore. The internet is so much more active, so much more powerful, etc. And if you relate your curriculum with the internet or with the cell phone, and you start banning the cell phone, you'll find that people's motivation will just drop, and they will not find any need to actually learn because also people are there's so much that must be done, and then they don't even mark the homework, so children become disillusioned and they don't want to learn anymore. So skills obviously now is a thing that they say is very rare. They can't find people with the necessary skills, but the point is that we kill the skills because we are trying to control the society in a state as if it's still the industrialized world, and it just changed. We must now start looking, get out of our boxes and not think of boxes anymore because there are no more borders in real terms. So even the politics of the world is suffering because people can't control the media anymore because people are on the cell phone, they can get instant news. So slowly but surely you will see the communities will take over. So you need an education, or not an education, a learning culture that includes everybody and allows everybody to know as much as possible. And it's all the different knowledge and different what we would call subjects that it integrates qualitatively in the Quran. All the subjects are actually integrated through the Quran. So the curriculum the holistic curriculum related reflections is based on Quran, but it's not directly so stated so. But you can see if you read the reflections, it actually relates to Quranic appreciation of the different subjects and bringing it together. If that happens in real terms, you find that society will become a more value-based society. We will actually look out for each other, and that's what the Quran actually is encouraging us to. Although it also tells us that only a few people will actually do that, the majority of people will just follow what is fashionable and what they are used to. They will say, "Oh, my forefathers did this before," and so we will just continue. We're not going to change. So change is a very, very, very hard thing to do, and people are set in their ways, and they're actually trapped. And I must say that that people will sometimes laugh at my reference to Katy Perry's work on a latest song that she created. Stuck, in terms of the rhythm, we're all um, basically trapped in the rhythm of doing the same thing. We can't think out of the box. Uh, it's very well written, and it actually includes all the kind of stuff that people are suffering, and how they actually, the home loans are crashing. Another thing that crashed in 2008 and 2009. The home the educational loans that are for university loans, that's also going to crash. We have now, as we know, in South Africa, we have this kind of riots against fees must fall. So these things are it challenges the system, and if we don't do something in order to be creative and not try to entertain conversations or just a critical evaluation of things and all the negativities, and have long discussions on the problems, but never come up with solutions. And that's probably one of our biggest problems is academia. We are so critically skilled, but we can't produce new things. And so you put the same academia into planning the new world, it's very difficult for them to do it because they work from a box, they work from a framework, and they need funding and they need this. And that is not necessary. I was just approached by a gentleman who said, "I'd like you to come to my school and assist in terms of, because we're in a poor area and we don't have the funding to take the children out, etc. We've got nothing." And I related to him something that happened in Canada, where same situation, poor people, nothing, and this principal basically just brought the community in, brought the parents in. And I said to him, bring the parents in, bring the community in, bring the police in, bring the firemen in, etc., and let them interact and open up your doors and allow people to come and see the value of every person, because then you will see how much richness there is in your community. And because even though some people are poor, they will have rich family members, they have buses, etc., that they can ask their family member to come on board. And unless you ask people excuse me, and you ask people to come on board, people will not easily just come and say, I can do this. You've got to invite them, you've got to bring them to value them, honor them, give credibility to what they can do, and this will bring people out of their particular locked lives and individualistic lives. But some people are quiet, not because so much that they are selfish, as they are fearful, because people bully. If you want to do something out of the ordinary, people want to cut your freedom by saying, why do you want to do this? Everybody else is doing that and you just want to do this. And we are all basically emotional, and we're all human, we have feelings, and some people will just say, no, okay, I'm not going to do this because I get insulted, etc. I went through a similar thing when I started this holistic thinking, etc., integrating Quranic ayahs and integrating words, different meanings of the Arabic word, and combining it. And that was my basic introduction into holistic thinking. I was also, approached by people and said, "Wow, you can't do this. It's not acceptable. You can't do this," because they haven't encouraged it. They haven't seen this kind of thing being done in English. It is done in Arabic, but it's not done in English. So, but the society stood in my way in many ways, but it doesn't stop me from continuing the process of sharing what I was granted as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sharing it with people. And this is I'm hoping that whoever listens to this particular video and a series of videos on freedom, will take it to other people and make that society of people that are change agents, make that a reality. Because that is what your freedom is about. Your freedom is to be able to choose and then to make changes, but to be fearless, fearless of everything else. Only fear and have consciousness of the Creator, not to do the wrong thing. The other things you basically will, and so you find that Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Quran, those who are the friends of Allah have no fear, nor do they grieve about anything. They are totally, even if they die, they know that enough is the Creator to grant them success. And even if they don't get the success in this world, they get the success in the akhirah, in the afterlife, which is more lasting. So that is another level of thinking. I mean, we need to get up to that level. We're not all there. I mean, even for myself, for that matter, we're struggling to get to that point where we actually truly put our trust in the Creator and say, enough is Allah, you know, yeah, as a designer of all affairs and control of all affairs, and then do what we must do. We still think, oh, what the people are going to say, and well, I'm not perfect, and why must I talk about these things because I'm not. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is absolutely perfect. We're all struggling, and unless we accept that, but we can share. And the moment we share our information that we have, that the Creator has granted us, we get an opportunity to change ourselves because now we can look at what we had said and say, okay, fine. I've told people this. How much am I going to follow that particular world of change, or am I saying one thing and doing something else? Which the Quran also speaks about. There are people who say one thing, they do something else. They tell the people to do that, but they break the rules. We see it in our lives as well. We see some leaders doing something, they tell people to do that, and they do other things on the other side. This is the way life is. Life hasn't really changed. The things we work with has changed, but the tools we have changed, but the stuff hasn't changed. The universe is still the same. Nature is still the same. You know, people still have the same needs in life. They want to feel a sense of belonging. They want to be loved. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be respected, and they want to be safe. They want to have freedom to make their own choices. Uh, we know that freedom has different dimensions of perceptions. I mean, some people think that you are absolutely free. You know, you can do whatever you like. It's impossible. You need to go to the toilet. I mean, it's the main thing. I mean, you're not absolutely free on many issues. You're dependent entirely on the Creator. You're dependent on nature. There's nothing that you can do and say you're absolutely free. You can decide, no, I'm not going to breathe today. No, it's not going to happen. You have to breathe. You have to go to the toilet. You have to communicate with people. And these are things that you have to accept, that freedom is relative. And when you consider that freedom is relative, and it basically is between choosing the right way or choosing the wrong way. That is the basics of the freedom. You choose the right way, you are free to do what you like, but then you must be big enough and take the responsibility for your actions. The reward to do the wrong thing is suffering. The reward for doing the right thing is goodness, is happiness, is heaven on earth. That is the reality. Anything between that, we will struggle. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So I am very encouraged by the fact that that the book has come out in terms of holistic curriculum related reflections as well as the 20 integrated topics in this particular time, and the whole structure is ready even up to the point of youth employment. Now we just need people to say, okay, fine, I'm going to put my 100 Rand with this particular project. I'm not going to miss it. But that's going to be even a problem because why? You're going to say, what if I give the 100 Rand? What is going to do with it? Because that is what Shaitan wants us to do. He wants us not to share, not to give charity. And even for myself, when I started the project, it was hard for me to say, okay, I'm going to put away 100 Rand every month. It was difficult because the Shaitan works in until I said, oh, inshallah, I'll just put it down. And this is the way we need to put your trust in Allah, and then you move and you know and you niyat that this money that I'm giving charity, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our children and our grandchildren and our progeny with this barakah and open up doors for them as we try to open up doors for other youth. So the holistic approach to education or learning, holistic leisure learning, and the removal of examination and the introduction of more tests develops a better human being, a person who values things, and a person who will share with others. He doesn't think that because he gets an A, he's now in charge of other people. No, he knows that if he gets an A, he's actually now has a responsibility to help other people and to help the facilitators and be that holistic facilitators. So the holistic curriculum related reflections book and the Youth Employment Project is related to the Holistic Senior Coaching Certificate, where we have the 16 subjects, where we will teach basically an integrated model using the book. People must be able to memorize, etc. The poem. If they can't memorize the poems or the reflections, they can just do a presentation on what they understand and what the assessor asks. But it is the duty of the assessor to make sure that everybody passes the particular presentation, guide them, ask them questions so that the community can grow on a qualitative level and everybody is part of this holistic senior coaching certificate. And that is a totally community thing, not connected to the state, because the moment you're going to connect it to the state, they're going to create certain criteria, etc., to shut people out, because that's the aim of things. You need to develop the community, you need to have a community-based thing, people must trust in it, people put value in it. The moment people put value into something, it becomes a political statement. It becomes something that the politics will actually want to come and know also about it, because they will see that if they don't get involved with the good, they will not be able to survive themselves. So there will be state people, there will be community people, etc. And this is the reality. But what is important is how we actually create our world around ourselves and how we create the freedom of choice and then develop ourselves effectively. So inshallah, we're now going to our last particular video on freedom. I hope you enjoyed the sixth one. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum.